few minutes of meditation, of going within, of welcoming calm and presence. What came for me this morning to look at meditation, because there's no point to look at these before I don't follow it. Silence of the Heart of Farini, it's about faith. And faith, for me, is when you have faith, it allows me to surrender, to be in that place of welcoming and open the heart. It's a very good thing to practice. Anyway, all right. So what is faith? Is it the belief in something that you perceive is lacking in your life? If so, it is not faith. Faith is never the perception of lack. That's a very deep statement. Faith is never the perception of lack. Faith is the perception of goodness. It is a perception of abundance in what appears to be not enough. It is the perception of justice in that which seems unfair. Faith is the bringing of love to the unlovable. It is the bringing of compassion to the unmerciful. And faith is the bringing of God's presence to the places where God's Spirit, love, seems to be absent. So how much open are we to see faith in the world right now? To live my everyday life with deep faith. That Spirit is within, without, everywhere. And in living my life, I know that Spirit within is demonstrating what it is. The creative process of my life. Faith is the recognition of a higher good, a higher order, a higher truth. Where do you find your faith? In your most intense suffering. Suffering is an opportunity to welcome faith in the goodness of life. where do you find God's presence? And we breathe in this knowingness, this truth, this comforting truth. We are so blessed to know the truth, so blessed to welcome the divine presence within. At all times. So we bring a smile on our face, open our heart to receive lots of joy and love in these times of holidays, without any expectation, pure openness. Namaste.
Now it is my honor and delight to introduce Rev Karin Willmer. She is our guest speaker today, and she works with our intern ministries for the Centers for Spiritual Living nationwide. She is based out of Vancouver, and she was the founder of CSL Yaletown. She has spoken at several Canadian New Thought conferences in Kelowna, Edmonton, and Calgary. She's a former journalist, and Karin's writing has appeared in the Science and Mind magazine. I believe it was just in October's Science and Mind?
Yeah, that was the most recent one.
Most recent one? Okay, good. And she just recently graduated from the Royal Roads University to receive her graduate certificate in executive coaching with a goal to bringing collaborative leadership practices into the mainstream. So please join me in welcoming Rev Karin Willmer.
Thank you, everybody. So good to see you all here. I see a lot of red, very seasonal. And I was explaining to somebody that I'm wearing my version of I called it a Nissa outfit, which is a Danish word for elf. And I wear a lot of black, but I still think this counts. There's enough sparkle that I still rate it as a Nissa outfit, so I'm trying to be my seasonal best as well. So I'm really happy to be here. And joy is most definitely a practice. Absolutely. It is a choice and it is a practice. And when it comes to us spontaneously, that is a gift. So just bear that in mind as you go through these next days. We are in the countdown, 10 days to Christmas countdown, right? So you've got 10 days to practice this. And by the time you get to the 25th, you'll be bursting for sure. I can promise you. So what I want to talk about today is what we're calling flowing ground. What a strange concept that is. How do we have flowing ground? Well, if you're a geologist or anybody who thinks about, what the heck is on underneath all that stuff, we all know that there's gaps in the earth. We may not be aware of it, but we know now we have things like earthquakes, for instance, but we also have channels of water, we've got streams, we've got all kinds of stuff that's going underneath. We're not aware of it. We think in our little human brain mind, being mind, that it's solid. But like everything, it is not solid. And the people who flow in life the best, I believe, are those who understand that really nothing is solid, that we are always in flow. So I want to begin with giving you a bit of a metaphor. I live with a wonderful human being who is now my husband. I'm still getting used to my new last name. And he is an exceptional skier. And when I say exceptional, what I mean is that we've got a, 6-foot poster in our living room. Poster doesn't give it enough justice, but it's a blown up magazine cover from a magazine in Europe in the 1970s with him skiing down one of the Alps, one of the mountains in the Alps. And then there's another album cover of him doing what looks like a complete vertical jump while the pitch is like this.
Wow.
And his friends are exceptional skiers as well. Now they live, one lives in Europe, in Switzerland, the other one now lives in Utah, I believe. And he's also a famous photographer. But these skiers are of the caliber that, and I'm not joking, and I've met them, I know them, and you can look them up online, and it's all true. They were stunt people for James Bond. Those crazy ski scenes with the villains and all of that, they were the James Bond stunt people. That's skiing, okay? That's what they do. And so when I met Dana, and he told me, I mean, the way he put it originally was, well, I was a ski model. And I was thinking he was the guy, you know. And it was the outfit. That's what was in my head. And then it's like, no, there was a photographer who was also an exceptional skier who would be with us. Now remember, this was before digital cameras and all of that. And he had to be a good enough skier to be able to be in the place to capture the thing that was happening live, right? So there's a lot of thinking and a lot of faith that's going on. It took until the Calgary 1988 Olympics before the type of skiing that they did became an official Olympic sport. They were just maverick skiers in Verbier, right? And then gradually this kind of filtered down, and it became an Olympic sport in 1988, I think it was. And now it's got to the point where the skiers who are exceptional at this are actually in the air for anywhere from 35 to 60 feet above ground as they are doing their acrobatics. So imagine a gymnast and how far they need to put themselves in mind to get back onto that balancing beam or whatever. The skier is launching themselves into our version of space, right? And it speaks to that flying that you were talking about earlier. So Dana said to me, so I said, well, how the heck do you do this, right? And he said, what you do is you imagine a point where you want to be that is out in space, and you aim for that, knowing and trusting that the earth is beneath you, and that there is enough give in your body, enough fluidity in your body for the land, that you can land and be safe. So what is that point that's out there? And that is that idea of that, either you could call it vision or you could call it intention. Either way, you're aiming for something, but you've got that faith that's underneath you that says, okay, I don't really know what's going to happen between when I put it out there and when I land. But if I make sure that I do not let go of my intention and I do not let go of my faith, then somehow the pathway, and that is up to spirit, up to whatever, that pathway is going to lead me to my ultimate goal. And maybe I'll get a gold. You know, maybe I'll hit the podium with that one. Maybe it'll just be an experiment and I get to do it again next time, but I'll know more than I did this time. So that is part of that idea of the flowing ground, so that we are in the flow with life as opposed to fighting against it. There's an old myth that I've been thinking about quite a lot because of just various things that have been happening in my life for the last several years. And it's the myth of Sisyphus. I don't want to tell you the whole myth, but I'll just give you the visual and you'll remember it right away. So the myth of Sisyphus is that there is a man who is essentially doomed to push a boulder up a huge mountaintop, but he never gets there before the boulder overtakes him and he gets pushed back down again. So what I notice in myself is when I've got a myth of Sisyphus mind thinking, mindset. I am literally trying to push some egoistic, arguably egotistic idea up a mountaintop. And every time I do that, every time I get caught in that mindset, and man, it's sneaky, I'm off principle. I am not in alignment with spirit, because I think my goal is to get a boulder off the top. My goal might be to take the boulder to, I don't know, 1,000 feet, 500 feet, and pick a flower. That might actually be my goal. But instead, I'm blowing past the flower because I think I have to get this thing to the top. Not a good plan. So if I can catch myself early enough, then I get an opportunity to sort of course correct, right? And figure out how I can do things a little bit differently. I want to give you a couple of quotes. The first one I'm going to give you is from one of these skiers that I talked about. So his name is Ace Val, and he's based in Utah now, does world photography and stuff like that. He's been in National Geographic magazine, I believe. And he says, you need to see if you can be amazed by something every day of your life. That's how he lives his life. He sets out intentionally to be amazed. And guess how often he gets that experience? Probably not every day, but I'll bet you he gets it more than most, because he is looking for it. And he's pushing himself not up a boulder, but pushing himself into a deeper and richer experience of life. So I don't know where you're at. I forgot to ask your dear Reverend Tamara earlier, but we follow the global themes, and I just want to give a little bit of a review of what the last 2 weeks may have been, because I didn't check, I'm sorry for that.
But we followed them.
So the first principle is everything is created twice, once in mind, our beliefs, and then in form. So thought precedes form in human experience. Sometimes it's a little bit different for non-animate objects, but everything is fluid. And the second principle is that, I think I have the same thing twice. Interesting. Okay, I don't remember what the second principle is, except I believe it has something to do with ultimately that everything is about love,
Yes.
as I remember correctly. And the third principle that we're working on today is essentially nothing is real. If we think that it's real, if we're going to put a pin on it and say this is it, then we are actually creating limitation right there and then, in that very moment, because we have decided that one thing is real, and any expansion from that one thing, where's the room for that? There is no room for that if we're putting limitation and separation on what it is that is right in front of us. And let's not forget the bigger principle, which is that anything that we can see, and we know this from quantum physics, we know this from science now, it's already changed by the time we see it. So we are already changing. Every one of us is changing. We know that. We know what a beautiful baby looks like. We know what midlife looks like. We know where we are in life. And in this very moment, in this very room, each one of us, every cell within our body is changing right now. So nothing is actually according to appearances. We're late in the game. Again, if we want to be on the flow, in the flow, we need to get the vision piece, because it's fluid. It's a fluid experience. Ultimately, our teaching is a healing teaching. And earlier in my life with this philosophy, I struggled with the idea of it being a healing teaching because it made me feel like I wasn't well. That I wasn't, like, we need to heal the sick. We need to heal the poor. We need to heal the, like what I heard in my own mind was that there was a separation. But what I hear in it now is and I've kind of modified the quote. So I'm going to read you the quote, but I'm going to include a little parentheses to sort of highlight one piece of that quote as I understand it. Okay, so this is from Living the Science Mind, which is absolutely my favorite book. I know everybody says Science of Mind is the favorite book. My personal favorite is Living the Science Mind. So he says, we believe, and this is from our statements of belief, in the healing of the sick, and my parentheses is out of alignment. Sick equals out of alignment. So we believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind. We believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. Power and mind, both capitalized. In other words, that great thing, that absolute, that huge experience of life itself. So how do we use this? How do we stay in the flow? How do we get in the flow? How do we actually live flow? So I want to give you two practical experiences that I've had in my life. One, some time ago, I was in the process of negotiating a contract. And I'm not the world's best negotiator because I just want to say yes to everything. You know, I just want to be nice and people pleaser, and contracts make me think of conflict and right and wrong, and it just doesn't sit well with me. So I kind of go into these things going, I'm going to take a firm line, and then my firm line just vanishes. I was like, oh, they're really nice. So I was going into negotiating a contract and knowing that this is who I am and how can I work within the context and the constraints of who I am and the things that I have to get over myself, right? And I thought, well, what if, okay, there is my hard line that I'll probably drop, and we'll be interested to see what happens with that. But where do I want to come from energetically? How can I look at it from that point of view? And I thought, no, the contract that I want to really make, I want to make a spiritual contract. I want to go into this idea, spiritual contract. So I want to go into this experience with the idea that I am going to assess whether there is an open space for a spiritual contract. Because if there is an open space for a spiritual contract, then I know no matter what happens, it's perfect. So the rest of it isn't really going to matter because we're going to be able to communicate on multiple levels of complexity. So that's how I get to assess now, you know, whether God is in the experience in the midst of my uncertainty. So sure enough, I dropped the one thing, right? I dropped that one thing and it was like, oh yeah, that's fine. That sounds great. But then there was something else that came up so that I still got to have the experience of, let's just say, rubbing up against our edges. I don't want to say conflict, but there was some grit there. And I saw, because I had gone into the experience with that open-hearted idea, I saw that there was an opportunity for expression. Like, how are we going to show up when grit is in the mix? And what I witnessed and experienced was flow. And it was like, oh, well, okay, let's see if we can do it this way. Let's see what more information we need. How about if we do it this way? What if we go over here? How about this? And we were both doing it. Not just one, not one-sided. There was a flow, a dance, like the skier coming down the slope, right? Or the paraglider catching the wind. There was something that was happening that was divine, but it was the fact that there was an opening and a beginning of trust and faith and love, whatever you want to call it, that bigger idea that was the foundation of the conversation, as opposed to what it looked like on a piece of paper. Completely different. And we have a phrase for this kind of experience and this kind of expression in our teaching, which is really trust the process. And oh my goodness, that is awfully difficult. And it changes with every experience that we have. Myth of Sisyphus, not trust in the process, right? Right? Not a lot of trust, not a lot of flow, not a lot of give. Flattened. Okay, that's experience number one. So Ernest Holmes says, now this one is from the Science Mind textbook, he says, a practitioner of this science, and we are all practitioners, whether we are certified, trained, we are always practicing, even if we're not conscious that we're doing it. So there's no separation here. A practitioner of this science should not be confused over any given form. See that word form again? But should know that any form which is not of the original harmony is subject to change. There's the fluidity. There's the flow. So I'm going to give you another personal story. And this one, I've only told this in a group like this maybe 3 times in my life. So it's sensitive. But I'm ready. So there you go. And this is more about the medical science part of the healing process. And how do you go through being in the flow when you actually have a health condition? Now, all of us face health conditions all the time. It's part of life. Sometimes we get lots of experience with it as children. Sometimes we get tons at the end of our life. Sometimes we have a life that's just like, feels like it's just one thing after another after another. But this is not something that we escape. This is just part of the human experience. So how do we stay in the flow of all of that? So again, we practice shifting our consciousness of what was solid and what we believed to be real. And we move ourselves into a place of, this might look like this, and I know it can look like something different. So 8 years ago, more or less, 8 years ago, I got completely, unexpectedly, no idea it was coming, diagnosed with hepatitis C. This was before there were any drugs available for hepatitis C. There was no understanding of any of it, and they caught it just in time, because I was this close to cirrhosis of the liver, and which meant transplant/death. No transplant equals death. It's a slow-moving thing, takes decades, and apparently here I was. No idea, and no treatment. So sorry, so sad, have a good life. That was the answer. I was like, what? And they said, well, you know, maybe there might be a drug trial. And maybe you would be eligible. But maybe, who knows, and until it shows up, have a good life. Do the best you can with what you got. That was it? Like, seriously? I was just like, what? Oh yeah. And there was a drug that they could give me, but it cost $150,000 and only a 50% chance of it working.
Oh.
It's like, what? Like, what? What world am I in? Anyway, so I went home. I cried a lot, as I'm sure you can imagine. And somehow I just thought, well, I've got to figure it out. And the only tool that I had available to me at this point was this teaching. There was nothing else. Medicine couldn't give it to me. Nothing else could give it to me. I only had my body, the body I had that I was working with at the time, whatever I chose to put into it, and this teaching. That was it. And one day I thought, you know, I was determined that this was not going to get me, but I also knew I was going to get out of it somehow, and I was doing everything that I could. And one day a little voice said, you need to call that specialist. And so I did. And they said, oh, that's just the weirdest thing. I just hung up the phone from somebody who was on the list to get into a clinical drug trial. Who are you? What's your name? I think you're eligible. We only have one spot left. Can you come in tomorrow? Oh, yeah.
How about today?
Yeah, how about today? It was tomorrow. So then I got there, and of course, it's a clinical drug trial, so they have to give you tests for these things. So they scanned my liver, and they said, oh, it's not eligible. And then they said, let's just do it again. And they scanned it again. And suddenly, I was eligible.
Wow.
Within 6 weeks, it was done. And that ended up becoming the drug trial that now everybody else benefits from. So it's no longer no one else ever. So not only did I heal myself, but it became part of something that helped a whole bunch of other people also be able to heal themselves should they choose to do so. I couldn't have done it without listening to that voice inside of me, without paying attention and maintaining my faith and my strength and my belief and my trust and the prayers and all those good things to keep my mind solid as much as I could. So I want to give you I'm going to give you two more things. I know we're getting close to time here, but I want to give you two more things. One is a practice for these holy days that are coming up. Sometimes, if it's not health, the next thing that we often are challenged with are relationships. And guess what? Chances are in the next 10, 30, 15 days or whatever, you're going to be engaging in a lot of relationships. Family table conversations, visits with people that maybe you haven't seen for a long time, people that are in different conditions in their own lives and bumping up against whatever condition you have in your life, etc. So I wanted to share with you a tool that is from Sufi teaching, and it's called the 3 Gates of Speech. And you may have heard it before. So here's another quote from Ernest Holmes. He says, if we seek to combat evil, we should be careful that we do not make the evil real. There is a place in the mind which intuitively knows that good overcomes evil. And there is a place which knows there is no evil to overcome. Our argument then is between the experience of evil and a solid conviction that good is the only reality. So in my view now, I realize that life is really a series of yes, and then what? Yes, I'm in, and then what? So it doesn't mean there are no obstacles, it only means the obstacles are not solid. I said yes to my healing from the Hep C. I said yes to my intuition, picked up the phone and made that call. We can say yes. And when we do, we see the healing that needs to be done. Because something will come up, that grit, that sand will come up, whatever it is. And it's like, oh, what we have to be in that practice is actually with our breath. What I like to do is I like to use the word one. We are one mind. One is such a powerful word. And I like to use that on the in-breath and let go. And so when we let go, the deeper we breathe out as we say one, the greater that in-breath will be. And so we'll be more powerful. So push as much as you can out on the out-breath, and your in-breath will just be naturally deeper. Okay? So let's practice for a few moments, and I'll support you as we breathe in. 1. And allow the air to fill you. And then out. And breathe in, saying silently to yourself, 1. And breathe out. If you wish, you may continue with your breathing and join me as I give the closing treatment for today. And take these words as your own if you choose. In this place of divine oneness, there is only that one mind, that one universal thing that flows in and through all that is. It is this divine oneness that is the life, the life of love, the life of creative expression and of joy. And so as I experience this oneness in my life right now, and I know that flow underpins my existence, that this is the fluid foundation of my divine life. I know that this flow is ever present, and my only need, my only desire is to experience it fully. Today, I embrace the flow. I witness it operating in my life, in my relationships. I am grateful for this universal force that supports us all, ever present in every conversation, every action, every deed. I know this, I feel this, and I allow this to be so in my life. And so it is. Peace and blessings, everyone, for a joyous holiday season.
So inspirational.
Going along with the flow.
Yeah. You know, sing along with us.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky. There's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside and send you reeling where your love can hide, and then you're stealing through the moonlight nights of your loved ones. Let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love find you through all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. There's a reason for the warm sleep nights, and there's a reason for the candlelight. Must be the season when those love lights shine all around us. So let that wonder take you into space, and let you under its loving embrace, and then the thunder as it won't your face, and you can't hold back. Everybody, let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love find you through all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. Yes, let's go. Let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love find you through all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. That's the reason. That's the reason.
lovely people came back from Mexico just to sing for us today. I know maybe it was something to do with their family as well. You know, I like to take credit for it if I can. So thank you, and I guess we'll see you, well, hopefully when you get back, we'll have you back with us. I know we still get to hear a little more of you, and hope you're enjoying your holiday season and getting to play some music wherever you go. And so if we can stand for our final affirmation, the big word we're going to do is flow today.
Oh, I love it.
I love it. Diane, that's her favorite word. The flow of life. So repeat with me or say it at the same time. Something wonderful is happening in me right now. It's this thing called life. It's this thing called love. It's this thing called flow. I know it. I feel it. I express it. I am it. And so it is. So turn it back over to our musicians. Thanks, everyone. Stay standing for our
Let's
final
all sing
song.
together here. And I let go. I let the spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, there looks like there's quite the spread on the back table, so stay and join us for potluck. And hopefully I'll see you for our candlelight solstice service on the 19th, Thursday. Doors open at 6, and on the website it says to buy a ticket, but it's by donation. So it just says pay what you want, pay what you can, and go from there. So see everybody Thursday night. Thank you. Have a great day, and thanks everybody online. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Oops, sorry.